I thought I would read another part of the Giraffe, the Pelly and me. So we've just got to the point where the chauffeur has turned up at the door. He looked up and saw us. He saw the Giraffe, the Pelly, the monkey and me all staring down at him from above, but not a muscle moved in his face, not an eyebrow was raised. The chauffeurs are very rich men and never surprised by anything they see. The chauffeur said, "His Grace, the Duke of Hampshire has instructed me to deliver this envelope to the Ladderless Window Cleaning Company." "That's us," cried the monkey. The Giraffe said, "Be so good to open that envelope and read us the letter." The chauffeur unfolded the letter and began to read. "Dear Sirs, I saw your notice as I drove by this morning. I have been looking for a decent window cleaner for the last 50 years, but I have not found one yet. My house has 677 windows in it, not counting the greenhouse, and all of them are filthy. Kindly come and see me as soon as possible. Yours truly, Hampshire." That, added the chauffeur in a voice filled with awe and respect, was written by His Grace the Duke of Hampshire in his own hand. The Giraffe said to the chauffeur, "Please tell His Grace the Duke that we'll be with him as soon as possible." The chauffeur touched his cap and got back onto the Rolls Royce. "Whoopee!" shouted the monkey. "Fantastic!" cried the pelican. "That must be the best window cleaning job in the world." "Billy," said the Giraffe, "what is the house called and how do we get there?" "It's called Hampshire House," I said. "It's just over the hill. I'll show you the way." "We're off!" cried the monkey. "We're off to see the Duke." The Giraffe stooped low and went out through the tall door. The monkey jumped off the windowsill onto the Giraffe's back. The pelican, with me in his beak hanging on for dear life, flew across and perched on the very top of the Giraffe's head, and away we went. It wasn't long before we came to the gates of Hampshire House, and as the Giraffe moved slowly up the great driveway, we all began to feel just a little bit nervous. "What's he like, this Duke?" the Giraffe asked me. "I don't know," I said, "but he's very famous and very rich. People say he has 25 gardeners just to look after his flower beds." See how big this house is here. Wow. Soon the huge house itself came into view, and what a house it was! It was like a palace. It was bigger than a palace. "Just look at those windows!" cried the monkey. "They'll keep us going forever." Then suddenly we heard a man's voice a short distance away to the right. "I want those big black ones at the top of the tree," the man was shouting. "Get me those great big black ones." We peered round the bushes and saw an oldish man with an immense white moustache standing under a tall cherry tree and pointing his walking stick in the air. There was a ladder against the tree, and another man, who was probably a gardener, was up the ladder. "Get me those great big black juicy ones right at the very top," the old man was shouting. "I can't reach them, Your Grace," the gardener called back. "The ladder isn't long enough." "Damnation!" shouted the Duke. "I was so looking forward to eating those big ones." Poor man on the ladder. Quite demanding, this Duke. "Here we go," the pelican whispered to me, and with a swish and a sweep he carried me up to the very top of the cherry tree, and there he perched. "Pick them, Billy," he whispered. "Pick them quickly and put them in my beak." The gardener got such a shock he fell off the ladder. Down below us, the Duke was shouting, "My gun! Get me my gun! Some damnable monster of a bird is stealing my best cherries. Be off with you, sir. Go away. Those are my cherries, not yours. I'll have you shot for this, sir. Where is my gun?" "Hurry, Billy," whispered the pelican. "Hurry, hurry, hurry." "My gun!" the Duke was shouting to the gardener. "Get me my gun, you idiot. I'll have that thieving bird for breakfast. You see if I don't." "I've picked them all," I whispered to the pelican. At once the Pelly flew down and landed right beside the furious figure of the Duke of Hampshire, who was prancing about and waving his stick in the air. "Your cherries, Your Grace," I said as I leaned over to the edge of the pelican's beak and offered a handful to the Duke. Been quite kind there. The Duke was staggered. He reeled back, and his eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. "Great Scott!" he gasped. "Good Lord, what is this? Who are you?" And now the Giraffe, with the monkey dancing about her back, emerged suddenly from the bushes. The Duke stared at them. He looked as though he was about to have a fit. "Who are these creatures?" he bellowed. "Has the whole world gone completely dotty?" "We're the window cleaners," sang out the monkey. "We'll polish your glass till it's shining like brass and it sparkles like the sun on the sea. We'll work for your grace till we're blue in the face, the Giraffe, the Pelly and me." "You asked us to come to see you," the Giraffe said. The truth was at last beginning to dawn on the Duke. He put a cherry in his mouth and chewed it slowly. Then he spat out the stone. "I like the way you pick those cherries for me," he said. "Could you also pick my apples in the autumn?" We could, of course we could," we all shouted. "And who are you?" the Duke said, pointing his stick at me. "He is our business manager," the Giraffe said. "My name is Billy. We go nowhere with... His name is Billy. We go nowhere without him." Very well, the Duke muttered. "Come along with me and let's see if you're any good at cleaning windows." I climbed out of the pelican's beak and kindly the old Duke took me by the hand, and as we all walked towards the house. When we got there, the Duke said, "What happens next?" "It's all very simple, Your Grace," the Giraffe replied. "I am the ladder, the Pelly is the bucket, and the monkey is the cleaner. Watch us go." See right there? With that, the famous window cleaning gang sprang into action. The monkey jumped down from the Giraffe's back and turned on the garden tap. The pelican held his great beak under the tap until it was full of water. Then, with a wonderful springy leap, the monkey leapt up once again to the Giraffe's back. From there, he scrambled as easily as if it were climbing a tree up the long neck of the Giraffe until he stood balancing on the very top of her head. The pelican remained standing on the ground beside us, looking up at the Giraffe. "We'll do the top floor first," the Giraffe shouted. Bring the water up, please." The Duke called out, "Don't worry about the 2 top floors. You can't reach them anyway." "Who says we can't reach them?" the Giraffe called back. "I do," the Duke said firmly, "and I'm not having any of you risking your silly necks around here. If you wish to be friends with a giraffe, never say anything bad about its neck. Its neck is its proudest possession." "What's wrong with my neck?" snapped the Giraffe. "Don't argue with me, you foolish creature," cried the Duke. "If you can't reach it, you can't reach it, and that's the end of it. Now get on with your work." "Your Grace," the Giraffe said, giving the Duke a small, superior smile, "there are no windows in the world I cannot reach with this magical neck of mine." The monkey, who was dancing about most dangerously on top of the Giraffe's head, cried out, "Show him, Giraffe! Go on and show him what you can do with your magical neck." The next moment, the Giraffe's neck, which heavens knows was long enough already, began to grow longer and longer and longer, and higher and higher and higher, until at last the Giraffe's head with the monkey on the top of it was at the level of the windows of the top floor. The Giraffe looked down from her great height and said to the Duke, "How's that?" The Duke was speechless, and so was I. It was the most magical thing I had ever seen, more magical even than the pelican's patented beak. Up above us, the Giraffe was beginning to sing a little song, but she sang so softly I could hardly catch the words. It went something like this. "My neck can stretch terribly high, much higher than eagles can fly. If I ventured to show just how high it would go, you'd lose sight of my head in the sky." The pelican, with his huge beak full of water, flew up and perched on one of the top floor window sills near the monkey, and now the great window cleaning business really began. The speed with which the team worked was astonishing. As soon as one window was done, the Giraffe moved the monkey over to the next one, and the pelican followed. When all of the 4th floor window on that side in the house were finished, the Giraffe simply drew in her magical neck until the monkey was level with the 3rd floor windows, and off they went again. "Amazing!" cried the Duke. "Astonishing! Remarkable! Incredible! I haven't seen out of any of my windows for 40 years. What a long time. Now I shall be able to sit indoors and enjoy the view." Suddenly I saw all 3 of the window cleaners stop dead in their tracks. They seemed to freeze against the wall of the house. None of them moved. "What's happened to them?" the Duke asked me. "What's gone wrong?" "I don't know," I answered. Then the Giraffe, with the monkey on her head, tiptoed very gingerly away from the house and came towards us. The pelican flew with them. The Giraffe came up very close to the Duke and whispered, "Your Grace, there is a man in one of the bedrooms on the 3rd floor. He is opening all of the drawers and taking things out. He's got a pistol." The Duke jumped about a foot in the air. "Which room?" he snapped. "Show me at once." "It's the one on the 3rd floor where the window is wide open," the Giraffe whispered. "By God!" cried the Duke. "That's the Duchess's bedroom. He's after her jewels. Call the police. Summon the army. Bring up the cannon. Charge with the light brigade." But even as he spoke, the pelican was flying up into the air. As he flew, he turned himself upside down and tipped the window-cleaning water out of his beak. Then I saw the top half of that marvellous patented beak sliding out of its head, ready for action. "What's that crazy bird up to?" cried the Duke. "Wait and see," shouted the monkey. "Hold your breath, old man. Hold your nose. Hold your horses and watch the Pelly go." Like a bullet, the pelican flew in through the open window, and 5 seconds later out he came with a great orange beak firmly closed. He landed on the lawn beside the Duke. A tremendous banging noise was coming from inside the pelican's beak. It sounded as though someone was using a sledgehammer against it from the inside. What do you think's in there? He's got him!" cried the monkey. "Pelly's got the burglar in his beak." "Well done, sir!" shouted the Duke, hopping about with excitement. Suddenly he pulled the handle off his walking stick upwards, and out of the hollow inside the stick itself he drew a long, thin, sharp, shining sword. "I'll run him through," he shouted, flourishing the sword like a fencer. "Open up, pelican. Let me get at him. I'll run the bounder through before he knows what's happened to him. I'll spike him like a pat of butter. I'll feed his gizzards to my foxhounds." But the pelican did not open his beak. He kept it firmly closed and shook his head at the Duke. The Giraffe shouted, "The burglar is armed with a pistol, your Grace. If Pelly lets him out now, he'll shoot us all." "He can be armed with a machine gun for all I care," bellowed the Duke, his massive moustaches bristling like brushwood. "I'll handle the blighter. Open up, sir. Open up." Right, I'm going to stop there. Show you those images or drawings. Looks quite frightened. See the Pelly there with the burglar in his beak. We will see what happens next. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think, and I will see you soon.